Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a first impressions, well, second impressions technically, and a wear test of the new Makeup Revolution Conceal and Hydrate Foundation and Conceal and Hydrate Concealer. So today I'm really testing out this foundation. I'm going to try to wear it for at least 10 hours, hopefully 12, but I don't think it's gonna make it that long. But we're gonna really put it to the test. I have work, I'm gonna work out a little bit later. I've already eaten in it. I may take a nap in it in a little bit. I'm feeling a nap coming on, you guys. But we're really gonna put this foundation to the test, see what it can do, see how it wears, and then at the end of the day, I will wrap it up and give all my thoughts to you all. So before we really hop into the application and the wear test, I did want to talk about a couple of the claims made with this foundation. This Conceal and Hydrate foundation says that it's made with hyaluronic acid, which is supposed to be really good for keeping your skin hydrated and looking really plump. It also claims that it has medium to full coverage. The concealer has very similar claims. It's also made with hyaluronic acid and also claims to be medium to full coverage. One of the biggest differences that I noticed with this foundation and the Conceal and Perfect Matte Foundation is this one actually does not have that big doe foot applicator. This one actually comes with a nice little pump, which I really like. I didn't have anything against the doe foot applicator. I think it'll make for really quick application, but I do also like a pump. I see that it's a little bit more sanitary, and I know some people were really concerned about the doe foot applicator. As far as the concealer goes, this one does have a traditional doe foot applicator, except it is very large. It's a buck foot, as Emily Noel 83 would call it, but I don't find that to be difficult to apply the concealer with. So without further ado, let's hop into the application and the wear test. So we're gonna hop right into application. My skin has been cleansed and moisturized. I'm not gonna use a primer today just because I really wanna see how this foundation wears on its own. And honestly, I really haven't been reaching for primer too much lately. I've just kind of been using my moisturizer as a primer, and so that's what we're gonna do today. So I have my foundation in the shade F3, and I'm going to apply it with a sponge. I don't think I'm going to do like one side of my face with a brush, one side of my face with a sponge, because honestly I always hate how foundations look on my face with a sponge. I feel like it gets really streaky. I don't know if I just haven't found the right brush or what, but we're just going to stick with a sponge today. So I'm going to take one pump of this on the back of my hand. We're going to start with that. It is quite liquidy, as you guys can probably tell. It's like moving down my hand. But it is a very thin texture, which I do like because I think that helps it look more natural on the skin. So I'm just going to dip my middle finger in it as I normally do, and then I'm going to start kind of patching this all over my skin. This is how I normally apply my foundations. I just find that this helps me get the best coverage with the smallest amount of product. So I'm just going to work in sections with this foundation because I'm not super sure about how like this one dries down. Oh my goodness, this is looking so beautiful, you guys. When I wore it yesterday, I was shocked. I was just so impressed yesterday when I wore this foundation. I didn't wear it for very long, so I didn't get a super great gauge on the wear test, which is what we're doing today, but I do think it looked really, really beautiful on the skin. That's just one thin layer, you guys. I'm not caking this foundation on. I'm just doing a very thin layer. This has, I feel like, it has medium to full coverage, but it's like a very high medium coverage. To me, full coverage would be like totally blanking my skin out. And personally, I don't really like that look. I like something that's a bit more medium coverage because I think it looks way more natural. And I think the dewiness of this foundation really helps it look even more natural. It just makes it look like my skin is beautiful and flawless and glowing. I feel like that did a really, really nice job of covering up those breakouts that I had right there and all of my acne scars. I'm just gonna finish applying this to the rest of my face in the same manner. And I feel like even though it's a dewy foundation and I'm using a sponge, I'm still getting the beautiful dew. I'm still getting really great coverage. I feel like sometimes we tend to use, or other influencers that I watch use sponges with dewy, or not sponges, brushes with dewy foundations because they want to maintain that coverage level. But I'm having zero issues with this one. Like, I think my skin looks flawless. I don't really feel the need to go in and conceal. Like I said though, I don't like a super full coverage, super duper like crazy flawless foundation look every single day because I just feel like it looks really unnatural. I am going to try to take a little bit more foundation and build it up right here. I don't feel the need to cover that necessarily, but I do want to see how buildable it is. That is beautiful, you guys. Oh my goodness. yeah, that just blended into the skin so seamlessly. I really like how it spread over the skin. Like, I didn't just put it in one spot and it absolutely stayed there and would not move. So next we're going to go in with the Conceal and Hydrate concealer. I am going to go in with a little bit of color corrector at first. I feel like this may be slightly cheating, but I want to use these products in the way that I would normally use my makeup, so I can really give you guys my full thoughts on them and know if they perform like my other favorites do. And I do not go a day without color corrector. I just feel like, for me, correcting my dark circles with a peachy pink color corrector is the only thing that really truly helps conceal them. Alright, so next I am going to take a little bit of the concealer. It is the bigger size, like how they came out with the like super size Conceal and Define concealer. It has that gigantic doe foot applicator. I'm just going to apply a dot in like the innermost portion of my dark circles, then one in kind of the middle, and then I'm going to go in with my sponge once again. Just really tap that out. When I swatched the concealer, I was a little nervous about the shade because it looked really yellow and really dark, but I think it looked just fine once it blended out under the eyes. This concealer is also very spreadable, meaning that it kind of travels across your eye or your under eye, so you don't have to totally coat your under eye with concealer. You can just do a couple of dots and that will spread across your problem area. Alright, so far my under eyes look pretty darn good. Let me scooch in a little bit so you guys can really see the finish on my under eyes. I hope you guys can see that, and I'm just not just getting creepily close to the camera. I feel like it looks pretty hydrated. I think maybe it's grabbing at some like eye goopies or dry under eye spots just a tad. I don't know. I'm gonna reserve judgment until we set it with powder, because I feel like yesterday when I used it, it just looked so flawless and so hydrated. So before we go in with powder, I do want to insert a quick before and after of no foundation and then foundation and concealer, so you guys can really see what this little range does. So now we're going to go in and set the face with powder. I'm just going to go in with my Essence All About Matte powder, as I always do, and my little sponge for my under eyes. I do notice that this concealer does crease a little bit if you don't set it, so if you don't like to set your under eyes and you have fine lines, which pretty much all of us do, just keep that in mind. This is going to crease a little bit, but like Jessica Braun says, it's science. If you have lines under your eyes, concealer is going to crease. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that powder on my Real Technique sponge, and I'm just going to press that into the skin. I'm really kind of focusing it on the creases under my eyes to kind of really set that down and prevent it from creasing throughout the day. This is a step that I do no matter what under eye concealer I'm wearing. Like I said, my under eyes do have creases in them, so I have to be a little extra careful in those areas. And then I'm just going to do that same trick, and I'm going to use that to kind of set down my smile lines, which is also something that I do with every other foundation and concealer that I wear. And then I'm going to take a quick pause, do a little bit of cream bronzing, cream blushing, and then I'll be right back for setting the rest of my face. Actually, before I do that, I do want to note the overall finish of my skin. Obviously, I have already set down my under eyes and my smile lines, but for being called Conceal and Hydrate, I think this has a very satin finish on the skin. It's not crazy dewy. I feel like my forehead looks a little bit dewier, but as far as my cheeks go, I feel like this is a beautiful, very skin-like, very natural satin finish. To set down the rest of my face, I'm going to go in with my Maybelline Fit Me powder. This one is not cruelty-free, but I'm trying to use it up, so I'm trying to use it as frequently as I can. This has been my go-to setting powder lately, and I think it's a really great powder that sets your skin, but it doesn't completely kill like the dewiness of your foundation. So I thought it would be a good match for this foundation. I'm just kind of pressing this powder into the skin. I'm not really using swiping motions because I don't want to disrupt any of the coverage that we have. This is a foundation that, well, honestly, I set down all of my foundations, whether they need to be set or not. But this one especially, I feel like it's not tacky, but you can definitely tell that it's not completely dry and set down on your skin. So this is one that I do recommend setting with powder. I mean, of course you cannot set it with powder, but it probably will slip and slide around on your face. So here is kind of the foundation and concealer with a little bit of cream blush, a little bit of cream bronzer, kind of all on my face, set down. While I think my face does look matte now, I think it still looks really, really pretty, you guys. I think the foundation is sitting really, really well on the skin. It doesn't look too heavy, it doesn't look too cakey, so I'm gonna go off camera, finish the rest of my makeup, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the completed look and how everything is looking in natural light. Alright guys, so here's kind of the full shebang in natural light. Everything went on really smoothly, really easily. I had no issues with blending, skipping, grabbing, any of that. My under eye concealer did start to crease a little bit while I was doing my makeup, but again, that's not really abnormal for me. I just went with my sponge, tapped it out a little bit, and I haven't had any issues since. I think everything is looking really, really good. It looks overall kind of matte right now, which I'm okay with because I do have kind of combo skin in the summer. My T-zone does tend to get a little bit oily, so I will do, of course, do check-ins throughout the day to kind of check and see how this foundation is wearing, but this is where we're starting with. Alright guys, so it is now, let's see if my watch will show you, it's 3:56 right now. So I've had this foundation on for about 5 hours at this point. And I want to do another quick little natural light check-in just because we still have natural light right now and I haven't quite set up my filming stuff to film. Obviously, I put on some eye makeup and a lip color, which I'm not too sure about. I might change this one before I actually start filming. But let's talk about the foundation. So for the most part, I think this still looks really, really good. I did go to lunch earlier. I was having lunch with a friend. It was her birthday. And I do notice that this is sinking into my smile lines quite a bit. Usually I don't have issues with this smile line until like the very end of the day. This one usually pops through in the first couple hours, but this one I usually don't have too many issues with, but I feel like it's definitely more apparent than usual. Overall, I feel like my skin has a really nice satin finish, satin matte finish. I'm not getting oily. I'm not like looking super dewy and shiny and gross. I just think my skin looks really healthy and really pretty. Another problem area for me can be right in this area because I think it's because I wear glasses. Also ignore the sides of my nose because it's from my glasses. Because when I push them up, I think my glasses hit right here and it kind of breaks up the foundation. But I think it's holding up quite nicely. The concealer still looks pretty good. It's starting to look a wee bit dry. I feel like my fine lines are a little more apparent than I would like them to be. But I don't know if that's just because I was making so many facial expressions at lunch. I am going to have a couple more days to wear this foundation before I post this video, so hopefully I can test it a little bit more and give you guys more of a definitive answer on that. But so far, so good. Alright guys, it is currently 8:05 p.m. and this is probably going to be my last check-in. I was hoping to wear this for at least another hour or two, but honestly, I am exhausted. It's been a super long day, so I want to wash my face and go relax in bed. But I did want to give you guys a quick little update on how the foundation has worn throughout the day. At this point, we're at about 9 hours of wear, which I feel like is a pretty typical wear day for me. Usually it's 9 to 10 hours, but I feel like it's a pretty typical wear day for most of us. And honestly, I am still very impressed with this foundation. I am starting to get shiny in my T-zone, definitely my forehead, a little bit on my nose, definitely on my cheeks right here. The foundation has worn off a bit on my nose, but I don't really blame the foundation for that. I was itching my nose earlier and sneezing, so I think that could be to blame. There is a little bit of breakup right here, right between my eyebrows, but like I said, that's also very typical for me. I think that could be from my glasses and me like pushing them up, taking them off, or putting them on. My smile lines, I feel like it's sunk into my smile lines, but it hasn't sunk into my smile lines any more than it had earlier in the day. It kind of just looks the same there. It looks pretty good on my chin. It's starting to look a little foundation-y right here. It's clinging to a couple of my dry, scabby pimple spots, but otherwise, I am very impressed. This is definitely better than other foundations that I've tried that have even claimed to be long wearing. So this one gets a 2 thumbs up from me, at least the foundation does. The concealer I want to look at a little bit more closely. It's looking a little bit dry under my eyes. And I feel like my squinty smile lines, like when I go like this and my eyes squint, they are a little more apparent than I would like them to be. Let me see if I can kind of tap that back in. I don't know. No, I feel like they're still pretty apparent. So the concealer is good. It's performing a little bit better, I would say, than other concealers I have in my collection that I have been putting on lately. Right now, my go-to has been the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer, but even at this point in the day, this one tends to look a little bit dry, a little bit cakier. Maybe I'll do, like, on my Instagram story, I'll put these two head-to-head one day. wear them both, one on one eye, one on the other, see which one does better. But overall, I'm very impressed with both of these products. I think if you guys are in the market for a new foundation, you would really like both of these. Like I said, I have kind of combo skin right now in the summertime, and I was able to wear this just fine. I think oily skin could get away with wearing this foundation, maybe with a more mattifying primer in the T-zone or in the spots that you get oiliest. But I don't foresee it slipping and sliding off your face, because I feel like after I set it down with some powder, it was very matte on my face for most of the day. So that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on more videos from me. And that's gonna wrap it up tonight. So I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.